What's going on? That's
What's
not my
going on,
part.
everybody? It's your girl Shannon.
This is your man Terrence J.
You're very excited tonight.
I am. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes. What's going on, everybody? It's your girl Shannon.
This is your man Terrence J.
And this is
The Last Podcast.
Why is this the last podcast, Terrence J?
Well, because depending on what we say or what we do, this could quite possibly be
the last podcast.
Yes.
We are so excited to have you guys here. Thank you for your support. This is going to be a very interesting and informational show, educational show. So please.
Like all of them. Yeah.
And
you guys learn and laugh from us.
We're going to be on our best behavior tonight.
We're going to try. We already promised that we would not talk about the allegations against Diddy.
We did.
As a grown man, you cannot say that you...
He is trying to sneak this in, and I have told him not in front of the judge.
As a grown man, and he ain't got no pictures with a black eye, you can't say you touched nobody's anus, okay? So, now that I got that out the way... I had to. I'm sorry. I tried.
Yes.
I tried. So
I apologize, Judge Staci.
Shout out to Bad Boy.
It's Bad Boy.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook. It is The Last Podcast 1. And on Instagram, it's _ The Last Podcast. Please make sure you follow us. On TikTok, it is The Last Podcast. So click on the clips. Like them, share them, let everybody know the funniest podcast you ever seen. It's right there at your fingertips. It's free, so you can get that.
Yes.
Let's get into our disclaimer.
We will still be friends after the show, no matter what is said, no matter what is done. Mm-hmm. After this show, we should really be good friends because we are going to act like we have home training.
We are. And usually, because you didn't even say no matter what he looks like.
I said I was going to be on my best behavior.
Shut up.
I'm trying, yeah.
Listen, we need to have overseers over you more often because you act totally different.
Our unofficial disclaimer. Yeah. I hate to say this in front of the judge.
I know.
If you are easily offended by fat shaming or anything else, it's probably not the show for you. But tonight, this is definitely the show for you.
Yes, it is. So you and your pastor can watch this together, and you don't have to repent.
All clergy can watch this.
Everybody can watch this. You ain't got to go to.
Well, I don't know. You start out with the Diddy and thing, and
you ain't got to go to the living room and slide the curtain back.
Swallowed up.
Wow.
Okay.
Have you?
No.
We are trying, y'all. We are really trying.
No, we have not. I don't know what the good bishop was talking about when he said that.
I only got a clip, and I'm not going to judge him about the clip, but he said it a lot of times.
But he did put God in it, so it has to be okay.
It has to be okay.
Hopefully.
Maybe. Shout out to Bella's house.
Okay.
So now we got our disclaimer out the way, and listen. So we had to get that out of our system because y'all know how this is. This is a very fun and enjoyable show. You guys get a chance to love, laugh, and learn with us. So
I feel like you just read like those cheesy signs in the house. You probably have one.
I probably do have one in my house.
Love, laugh, live.
Love, laugh, live. So you get a chance to do that right here on The Last Podcast. So we want to make sure that we have a show next week. So we're not going to do anything crazy because we do have the judge in the building. But before then, we're going to jump into our weekly rundown.
Yes.
And we want to run over a few topics. And I'm going to tell you, Judge, listen, as we're talking, if you feel led, that's what they say in church, right? If you feel led by the Spirit to jump in, please.
But don't blame us.
Don't do this. Don't do this. But we're going to jump into rest in peace, my guy, Eric Mays.
Rest in peace to Eric Mays, Flint councilman.
He was a city council member in Flint, Michigan.
He was the very infamous Eric Mays. He was very loud and boisterous, but he was very passionate about what he believed in for the city of Flint. And I think it is a true loss. I'm sure some of them are not.
Listen, when that thing went across that phone, and some of those council members that's on that board with him saw that, you can't tell me some of them didn't smile.
Especially when the lady who he said, I don't have no tail, girl.
What you're not going to do is sit up here and talk to me like I'm crazy.
Point of order.
Listen.
Yeah.
So shout out to Eric Mays.
Shout him out. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Listen, I'm still shouting him out.
Okay, you can
and
shout
rest
him
in
out.
peace, Eric Mays. So we wanted to say that because you have provided me with a lot of hours on TikToks of enjoyment.
Yes.
I do appreciate all of your work you've done. I'm pretty sure you will be greatly missed there in the city because it seemed like you were really, really, really fighting for the people of Flint.
Yes.
Get into Miss Fonnie Willis.
Fonnie Willis, the South Fulton County, Southern Fulton, is it South Fulton County?
I think it's
Fulton County, in Georgia. As if you've been living under a rock, she is the district attorney who is trying the case for Donald Trump and his cronies who tried to steal the election in 2020, and so they're still in this hearing. His side is trying to disqualify her because of allegations that she had a private or personal relationship and hired this Nathan Wade, and that she used taxpayers' money to pay her lover, basically is what they're trying to say. So Terrence Bradley, who is a former law partner of Nathan Wade and his divorce attorney, was supposed to be the star witness for Donald Trump's side or whatever.
They were counting on this dude.
They were counting on him to just really, like, the whole hearing and everything is hinged on his accounts of what he knew and what he didn't know. Well, today on the stand, he said, I mean, I don't know, I guess. I don't know if they were together or not. I was speculating. You know, we recognize this for what it is, right? And when he started, because he started out, this is like his second or third day testifying. When he started out, if you were watching it, you were like, oh, this is about to be good, because this man the first he was like, I have to ask the state bar. I don't know if I can say this. Well, this was his former divorce attorney. He's not about to risk his law license or anything to help your case. But the problem is that what he told Ashley, what's her name? I think I have it written here. Ashley Merchant, which is the attorney, in text messages, completely contradicts what he said on the stand. So that's why they felt so certain and sure that he was going to be the star witness and he was just going to blow this thing out the park, and it did not go that way.
Pretty much got up there and was like, I don't know what to take.
He's like, I mean, if you want to believe it, you can, but I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation. He was just so nonchalant about it. He was like,
which means that, hey, for your guy Trump, it's another L.
Yes. Speaking of
you're racking them up. Speaking of L's.
Great segue.
That
I'm
is.
so proud of you.
Listen, I'm a professional. I've been doing this for a while.
More often. I mean,
know.
you really are on your best game.
I am a professional at this. Yeah.
So, Orange Hitler, or Donald Trump, however you want to call him.
And before you say that, all comments on the last podcast is of Terrence and Shannon and not of the judge. So
not the judge. Yeah.
Yeah. This is
the last podcast. Okay.
Yeah. We just gonna interview her, tell her about her cafe.
Yes.
So this has nothing to do with that. Please understand that this is us.
This is us.
Yeah.
This is how I feel.
Yeah.
And if you know me, you know I've been calling him Orange Hitler since Obama was in office. So, Donald Trump, the morally corrupt Donald Trump, tried to put up $100 million to stop the hemorrhaging, the bleeding, and it was denied. The amount is now up to $454 million.
And it started with about 398.
It started at 390.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Because it keeps gaining interest every day. And Attorney General, no, what is she? District Attorney, no.
Is she the district attorney?
No, she is the
state attorney.
State attorney, yeah, I think. Yeah. Letitia James. She's just like, listen, I don't care what you do. You can either pay the money, or I can come seize your assets and take over your companies. We could go either way. Now, of course, Donald Trump's attorneys, when the judgment first happened, they were very overzealous, and they were like,
"Oh, he can pay this today.
Oh, we can pay this today.
Oh, this ain't nothing."
She was like, "Okay, they're ready. Let's go." And yeah, he cannot pay, and we know he cannot pay because we do know that he inflates everything, including how much money he has, his revenue, and his income, which is the reason why he's.
How big is your account? It's bigly.
It's bigly. So he offered to pay $100 million to try to pause the full penalty from being enforced, and that was denied. And so again, this is another L for the Tangerine toddler. So.
Well, yeah.
And every day, Letitia James posts the amount that he owes because it goes up every day. Now, some of his followers were saying, he can appeal it. Well, in order for him to appeal it, he would have to still put up that full money plus the interest and in escrow, and it's still going to, gain it, accrue interest. So no, he can't do that either. So, this is what I love about American politics.
Yeah, and speaking of appeals, we have somebody that's in the building right now who's running.
I know you. Did you ask God to send that to you?
I
Put that
am
in your spirit?
a professional.
I don't know about that.
Listen, I sit on the board of the DFW Association of Black Journalists.
Here we
I've been
go.
doing this for over
Shameless
12
plug.
years. I've traveled across the country, and I've spoken with many of people. This just comes naturally to me. Okay?
Not really, but okay.
All right. So, so she's running for Chief Justice of the 5th District Court of Appeals. Right here. We are in Texas. If those of you who are watching around the country, we are here in Texas. So for all of my Texas listeners, Dallas-Fort Worth area listeners, Dallas area listeners, even if you live in the area, call somebody who live in the area that can vote.
You are so professional.
And in the 5 counties, because it's not just Dallas County, it's Rockwall. You scared me.
Yeah.
Rockwall,
I'm good. No.
Rockwall, Kaufman, Collin County, Hunt, Grayson.
Okay.
And I think if that's not 6, it's close to it.
So there you go. So welcome to the show.
Oh man, I didn't know that. So you see, that's why we need.
That's why we.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did not know that.
That's
So
why we
thank
need.
you.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, Judge Staci Williams. Some of you guys know her as Judge Staci. I had the pleasure of getting a chance to talk on the phone with her sister, Miss Tracy. Listen, I some people you just meet, on phone calls or in person, and right off the back, you're like, yo.
Yeah, she's left a lasting impression.
Exactly. So I thank you for making this connection. So welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm tired.
You're tired?
We're in the second week of early voting.
Yes.
The polls are now open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And as a candidate, you try to get around to the different polling sites. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's a lot of work in that, and being able to go out and touch the people and reach the people, and so that they can be connected with you. And so now. You started out by telling us all the different counties, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of times we get a chance, we go in to vote, we think that it's most of the time is either city or the county of, right?
Right.
So when you're talking about the 5 different counties that you are running in, how do you get a chance to spread yourself so thin to be able to go to all these different counties?
You just do. Well, thank God for the internet. Thank God for Zoom and Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
But I've put a lot of mileage, particularly going up to Collin County, the northern Grayson, Hunt counties. You just have to set your time around because people want to touch you. They want to feel you. They want to feel your essence. And so you have to just go. You spend a lot of money going to those areas.
Okay.
But I'm very lucky because I've run statewide before for the Texas Supreme Court, and I lived on Southwest Airlines then. So I am so happy that every night I get to go home.
You get to go home.
And go to bed. And what's probably most interesting about, well, I'll let you ask the question. I won't. No. Okay, so currently I'm a trial court judge for Dallas County exclusively. That's where we conduct trials, we have witnesses, we rule on exhibits, and then either the judge or the jury makes a decision.
Okay.
Now, after they make a decision and it's reduced to a judgment, someone can appeal that judgment. So they can appeal it to the Court of Appeals, which is where I'm running for now.
Okay.
It's the next level above my level. And at that level, you don't have a separate trial. You don't get a second bite at the apple. You don't get to, bring more witnesses that you forgot about or exhibits you didn't see. It's solely a review of the record to see whether or not error has been committed.
Oh, okay.
So there are 14 Court of Appeals districts across the state of Texas.
Okay.
And Dallas just happens to be in the 5th District Court of Appeals, and it includes Collin County, Rockwall, Grayson, Hunt. I know there's one I always forget, but if I missed you, I'm sorry. Counties. And so we'll be hearing appeals from those counties. But I'm running for the specific position of Chief Justice. Now, the Chief Justice is more the administrator, the CEO of the court. So it's making sure that the court's running smoothly, that the justices are issuing decisions timely, the clerks are processing the paperwork, and also, if we need more funding, going down to the legislature to lobby for more funds or space.
Okay, so it's not a retrial when they get to you.
No.
So okay, because a lot of times, and I'm trying to break this down just for the general listener. We imagine the judge sitting on the bench with the black robe and everything else, right? Are the lawyers bringing the case, or are the people showing up saying, hey, this is what I'm bringing to you? How does that work?
So right now I'm a trial court judge. Now, in a trial court judge, you have the attorneys for both sides, you have the witnesses, they come in and wear the black robe. But when we get up to the Court of Appeals, it's solely the attorneys are going to make arguments to the justices on the Court of Appeals, arguing where there was error, if there was error committed, denying someone of their rights, or the judge was incorrect on the law, so incorrect that this person needs a new trial, or sometimes the record's clear enough, they'll just go ahead and reverse the judge and give a new decision. And as a trial court judge, that's what we want. We don't want them to send it back and make us redo the trial. We want them to have enough evidence so if there is a reversal, a final decision can be made at the appellate level.
So once it goes to the appellate level and you guys make your decision, that's it.
Let's just in a way.
Okay.
All right. So when you go to the Court of Appeals, that is the last level where you always have a right to appeal. At the Court of Appeals, we don't. I'm saying we will. I'm already claiming
those things existed as though they were. Okay.
At the Court of Appeals, it's the last place where you have an absolute right to appeal.
Okay.
Now, when you hear people say, "Oh, well, I'm going to take it to the Texas Supreme Court," and I always say, "Stop." Because the Texas Supreme Court decides which appeals they will absolutely hear. They can refuse to hear it. All right, so at the Court of Appeals, that's your last level of review where you have an absolute right to have the justices review it.
Okay.
So you're in essence almost like a checks and balances for
the trial court.
The trial court. Okay.
Yes. And I watch a lot of court TV, and sometimes and sometimes you hear the judge it seems like that the judge is allowing a lot of things. And I heard an attorney once say, well, the judge is doing that because they want to make sure that if it is ever appealed, they can't say, well, the judge did not allow this discovery, the judge did not allow this unfairly. So if it is appealed, the judge can feel good about that he, I guess, tried the case with integrity and everything.
Well, I don't know if a trial court judge is just going to allow everything in because we're bound by the rules of evidence. But I think what he's trying to say is it's a good practice of a trial court judge to let the attorneys try their case, get as much evidence in, so that if it comes to the Court of Appeals and the Court of Appeals wants to reverse the decision, they have enough information where they don't remand it to the court for a new trial. They say, okay, that trial judge made a wrong decision, but we've got enough information on the record to give a new decision, and the parties, are set now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so you get a chance to go through and in this position that you will have, you get a chance to hear these cases to find error. How many times are there situations where there are errors found? Do you guys keep a record of that?
They keep a record of those statistics. It depends if it's civil or criminal, and then the type of case. You find a lot more error when someone's had like a 92. I had a $92 million verdict about 4 years ago, and the transcript was probably 50,000 pages. They reversed, but they didn't. They rendered it, which means they found a decision. Okay. I mean, this was a decision reached by the jury, and just as a judge, my judicial philosophy is if the jury has reached a decision, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Let the Court of Appeals. And I think it was because the amount of money that they awarded was kind of sky high. But my jurors were angry. They sat 3 weeks in a commercial fraud case, and they watched the video of this officer who was just like, oh, it was okay for us to straight up and lie.
Oh, wow.
And my jury got mad. I mean, you could look at him, and I was like, whoa. Because when I saw that verdict, I had to go back in my chambers and look at, because the numbers were so large.
Wow.
But I just feel as though the jury, they've spent 3 weeks. They are the fact. They are the fact finders. And I didn't find that the law had actually been, that error had been committed. So I said, well, take it up to the Court of Appeals.
And if you want to lie on me for $90+ million, you can lie on me all day long, as long as I can get my settlement. So, now the thing is that so many times what we're trying to do here is make sure that people understand not only their right, their responsibility, and also how effective it is for your everyday life. Because a lot of times it is thought of, we're going to vote for the president, and we're going to pretty much use what I call trickle-down politics, right? Trickle-down economics don't work. Trickle-down politics don't either.
Does not work.
Right? You are somebody here in the studio live today. You live in this part of the world. We could run into you at the grocery store. You're somebody who will affect my life even more than anybody on an upper federal level. Can you give the public just the reasons why you feel they should come out and be engaged in these elections?
Okay. This is the Court of Appeals, believe it or not, is so important, and they've got problems there that need to be resolved. All right, they have the worst record in the state of Texas for handling criminal appeals. And the Office of Court Administration is kind of the statistics guru for courts in the state of Texas. And they break down appeals by 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. The 5th District Court of Appeals has more cases, criminal appeals, that have been waiting for 3 years. Who does that affect? Your brother, your mother, your sister. Someone is sitting in jail because they have not had the fire lit under them to get that appeal done. And that's wrong. And so you might not ever know, and we might have never heard about the Court of Appeals, but it's going to affect someone. I've spoken to people, I've gone to homeowners associations, and people come up to me afterwards. Well, my nephew is in jail. We've got an appeal. Now I understand why it's taking so long. So even though it might not affect you personally, it's affecting our people and our society. On top of that, the justices write decisions which could have precedence. That means control the trial judges. In the 5th District Court of Appeals, they have 33 staff attorneys that help the justices mold their opinions. Now, to me, the staff attorneys should reflect the diversity of the 5 counties. But guess what? 33 staff attorneys, not one is black. And
can you repeat that one more time for our listeners?
33 staff attorneys, and the staff attorneys help the justices write the opinions. They actually do the drafts. Not one is African American. Okay,
and so at that moment right there, 33, not one person is of African American descent. I know that there is so much going on. We talk about the affirmative action leaving out and things like that, and so
this has nothing to do with affirmative action.
Well,
this has to do about being fair and making sure that we've got the diversity of opinions. And you cannot tell me in 2021, 2022, 2023, you cannot find people of color
who are qualified.
who are qualified.
Right.
I'll tell you one thing, because I do a lot of research. You know, I didn't just jump in and say, hey, I want to be on the Court of Appeals. One of the staff attorneys, they have an organization of attorneys who support Court of Appeals across the country. One person was representing Dallas, and they went to law schools in Washington, D.C. to start the pipeline to make students interested in going to the appellate courts. What law school do you think they visited?
It wasn't Thurgood Marshall down at in Houston.
We're talking there in Washington, D.C.
Oh, in D.C.
For a special meeting. So they did outreach to law schools. Okay, I'm not
Georgetown?
going to force you. Well, that's the second black law school in Washington, D.C. They didn't go to Howard, and they didn't go to They didn't go to Howard or Georgetown. They went to AU and another school. How can you not go to be in Washington, D.C. and talking about creating a pipeline, and you don't outreach to Howard University
Howard
or Georgetown?
University was going to be my first guess.
Well, Georgetown for the longest time had more blacks than Howard University, which is my alumni. So I was absolutely there's a problem in philosophy.
And so when we see that, when you start talking about you have nobody on there, because, and I was going to ask you as far as the time that it takes to be able to see these cases. Is there intentionality in slowing down, or is it just laziness? Is it understaffed? What's the reason?
They're not understaffed. They have more staff attorneys than any other court of appeals in the state of Texas. They have more staff attorneys, more justices, just because they're not putting the appropriate priority. I know I got in a little tiff with my opponent because she said, oh, you can't put justices on a timeline. It's like, oh, yes, I can. And look, the Office of Court Administration breaks down statistics based on timeline. Why is it that all the other 14 courts of appeals don't have criminal appeals over 3 years, but you do? It's because people are not working. And that's why I will be the change agent, because I do understand the impact of delaying a decision on criminal appeals. Even that on civil cases. What happens if you're a small business person and you get popped by a jury for $32 million? That could be life and death of your company. So justice delayed is justice denied. And as Chief Justice, I will put the fire under them. I'm not, as one justice said, oh, Judge Staci is an outsider. You dadgum right, I'm an outsider because I'm going to come in, I'm going to be the change agent, and I am going to be the one to put timelines in place.
And outsiders are the ones that make the change.
Yes.
Radical outsiders make the change. Like that's how we are here today.
But you know what? I hear that as dog whistling. What does that mean when somebody label you an outsider?
Well, yeah, well, I'm from the old school.
Yeah.
So 1960 civil rights, I said, yeah, we'll take care of that afterwards. But yes, it definitely was. And I'm sure it was followed by some inappropriate words, because some of the justices now, they won't call me judge by name. They want to come up to me and say, Staci. And I say, I will give you your respect as a justice, but you need to give me respect and call me judge. And the same person who said, she's an outsider is the same one who still refuses to call me by my proper title.
After you have went through the proper protocol to win the election to become a judge, and you still don't want to respect me.
Right. And I have the experience, over 37 years of legal experience. Let me tell you something. I went to Georgetown Law School, which is a top 10. Heads and shoulders above most of them. Smith College with a degree in economics. Yale University Special Studies in Economics. A graduate of the Hockaday School. Some of those people who got on the Court of Appeals had never been a judge in their life. This was their first time.
Oh, wow.
Not only do I bring 10 years of judicial experience, I've been an arbitrator for DART, the U.S. Postal Service, NASDAQ FINRA, Washington Metropolitan Airport Board, the Federal Mediation Conciliation Service. I've been an administrative judge for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I've been a trial attorney for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I've been certified as a senior professional in human resources, which shows that I've got a depth and breadth of experience that is unparalleled and unmatched.
I mean, you better run it down to him.
We call that talking your stuff, okay? That's what we call
it. You better run it down to him.
Yeah. You
gotta
let people know.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, you come with a wealth of experience and background. It's almost like, again, no matter how good you are, someone always wants to not recognize your accomplishments because of how you look and who you are.
Definitely. But
but that makes you work even harder.
Totally, much harder. And and I'm an innovator too. When I ran back in 2014 for judge, people came up to me and said, "Don't put me in jail." And I go, "Well, I'm not a criminal judge. I don't put people in jail. I make them pay a lot of money." So I said, bingo. We need an educational component. So I created a program.
Because I was going to say that tonight. Don't put me in jail.
So I created a program called the Citizen Civil Academy, which is a free, nonpartisan program to educate citizens about the civil court process. Since 2015, we've educated over 450 citizens, ranging in age from 7 to 92. We've taken it to 12 locations in Dallas County. We did stop because of COVID, but I'm very proud of this program because no federal, state, or local funds are involved. I pay for this program with my campaign funds.
Oh, wow.
Number two, and I don't do this program like on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays when I'm supposed to be doing state work. I do this program on the weekends. So it is truly a gift to the citizens, my time, my money, to educate them. Another thing about transparency, back during COVID, only the rich attorneys were finding out about what was going on at the courthouse. And I said, that's not fair. We've got solos, we've got people in small firms. They have just as much of a right to get information. So I created a newsletter called Coffee and Bagels with the 101st District Court to get that information out. We've got a list of about 12,000 attorneys, and I'm very proud of it. So when you're a leader, you've got to be able to think out of the box and then address those issues. The 5th District Court of Appeals, they need me.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just listening at the way that your process is almost to make sure that everybody is engaged, from the education component to the newsletter, because having everybody involved makes everything better. And there's so much of this exclusionary type of mentality, and we need somebody to be able to bring everybody together. And so now, when you are operating as the District Court of Appeals and you are the Chief Justice of that, are there people that are working under you? Because as the Chief Justice, do you have other judges that's under you, or how does that work as far as the hierarchy?
So the Chief Justice is like the CEO, the administrator. So we'll have 13 other justices. Their duty primarily is to listen to the oral arguments and get the decisions out. They're supposed to be the workhorses. Then we have the clerks. The clerks process they no longer really process paperwork. Everything's done computerized, so making sure things are in the right order. Then we have our group of staff attorneys, so making sure that they're getting their work done, making sure that it's a cohesive organization. So I really won't be involved into too many of the decisions, only when the Court of Appeals has to hear a case, what's called en banc. En banc means all. So all 14 of us. Usually appeals are heard in 3-judge panels. And that's another thing I'm going to do. There have been some questions on who gets assigned to what cases. So it's going to be truly a random but identifiable way, so that there's hopefully no or little concerns about how certain justices get assigned to certain attorneys' cases.
And this is why diversity matters so much, from the very top all the way down. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm still stuck on that. There's no person of color, in the Chief Justice.
We'll say African American.
African American.
Yes.
And for we are a very diverse nation, a diverse state, diverse city, diverse counties, and that's kind of scary when you think about it.
It's very frightening because it becomes very insular, and and particularly the comment, "Oh, she's an outsider."
It shows you their mindset.
Yes. And it's actually very scary, just to sometimes to think about what I might be stepping into. But I know that I'm prepared. I know that I'm qualified, and I know what needs to be done. And the citizens of all these counties in the state of Texas deserve to have their taxpayer dollars working.
I agree.
If there are justices who are not doing their work, we need to find out about it. Because in fact, we found out one justice said, "Oh, I ghostwrite for other justices," and I'm like, whoever is assigned to a panel, that person's supposed to be doing that decision.
That's unethical, right? I mean,
well, I can't say what it is, but it doesn't smell right.
No.
Does it? You know,
No.
it has nothing
No.
about transparency.
No.
So either you're assigned to the panel and you're writing it, or we need to identify who's not doing their work. And if you are actually authoring those opinions, your name goes on it. Because again, we need to be transparent.
Yes.
We need to be honest. We can't, but it's, you know, it's kind of like a internal good old boy network going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the forces are out so strong.
Yeah, and you know, and one of the words you keep using was transparent. And a lot of times people got to understand, you know, when you're honest, you're answering what I'm asking. When you're transparent, you're telling me what I need to know that is very pertinent to this situation. So if somebody is ghostwriting for someone and giving my opinion and putting it on the next person, and you know, it's kind of like it's plagiarism in school. You know, you're not supposed to be able to do that, and so we need to know these things.
And our tax dollars are paying, like you are here for a reason. So it's almost like you're passing the buck off to someone else to do it. Why are you here then?
Thank you. And why are you collecting a salary?
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a management issue.
It's very problematic.
Because I mean, if we were back in HR world, that person would be performed out.
Yes.
Exactly. And so, and I'm just thinking about calling you an outsider and having a fear of this outsider coming in. First of all, when you ran down your accomplishments and your accolades, sounds like you're very inside the loop. Okay, so but this outsider sound like this cliquish type thing that people are trying to keep you out, maybe because of how your campaigns are ran, how you know. And so my thing is, it's not about are we buddies and friends and are we cliques. It's about who can do the best job for the people.
Yeah, I mean, you go home to have friends.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, you come to work to get certain things accomplished and done. And it's, you know, of course you want a very friendly, open environment, but not to the point where you're protecting, you're hiding, and you're not being transparent with the community or the, you know, or the community to which we serve. I mean, it's like I said, it makes you kind of want to take a step back.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is, I do believe that you are built for, you know, a time and a situation as this, you know, to be able to go into it head first. And so I want to know, how is it running in a situation where this label is being put on you as the outsider?
Actually, it's kind of interesting because they're trying to throw all kind, you know, when they don't have, they just throw all kinds of dirt, like my opponent's talking about. Oh, but I got 60% bar approval ratings. First of all, the Dallas Bar poll. You don't even have to be a member of the Dallas Bar to even practice. She keeps bringing up the 2021. There were 11,000 attorneys. Only 70 people participated in her poll. Then she goes, well, 67% said I'm wonderful. They think I'm an excellent judge. Well, 67% of 70 is 44. So she wants this entire judicial race to be based on what 44 lawyers who are members of the Dallas Bar say. Most of the bar members don't pay any attention to the Dallas Bar. Wow. But that's what she wants, and her people are at the polls passing out these little cards, 66-40, and I was kind of going, oh. And then I did research, because you should be transparent.
Yes.
And I'm like, it wasn't 63% of 14,000 members. Only 70 lawyers participated in her poll. Then when you break it down to the 63% that she's referring to, we're talking about 44 lawyers.
And that's embarrassing, actually.
Yeah, for that to be what you hang your hat on and say, I got 44 people to say I'm good in this. So the thing is that one of the things you mentioned was, you know, if somebody's not doing a good job, we need to make sure we get them out. Because I think a lot of times we forget, as a general population, we forget that judges are elected officials, which means you have the power to put people in, put people out. Mm-hmm. But I have come to find out it's kind of hard to find out how a judge is performing, because there's really no metrics. There's really no way of going through and doing research. How as a general public can the people say, I need to find out how this judge is performing?
So you know what? You really have to do your own legwork.
Okay.
Because you can't count on the bar polls because they're statistically insignificant unless you want 44 people to be telling you what to do. And then there's no proof that that person's ever been in there in your courtroom. None whatsoever. So I say go to the courtroom. Find out. 2, read up about their experience. 3, and their background. You know, I tell people, just come sit in the courtroom. Do you see them at community events? Are they engaged in the community? Is this the type of person that if you had a family dispute, do you think, I mean, you never really know, but do you think if the law is on my side that I want them to hear my case? I mean, but you have to do the steps because there's no really clear metric whatsoever.
And when it comes to a judge, nobody really wants to go in front of a judge, you know, unless the law is on your side. So so it is kind of hard to have a barometer to try to figure out, I don't know, But I'll be honest, when I was not really doing my research, I would look at the names on the ballot, and I'm like, this sounds like this is a black woman. I'll vote for her.
But you know what?
That is my God honest truth. I'm like, this sounds like this is a black woman. I'll vote for her. This sounds like it's a black man.
And here's the thing: is what I'm finding out.
I've voted for somebody who judges or votes against my interests. So
and Judge Staci does not have to move her head, smile, do anything to this. I'm saying this. We have people that we talk about industry plants. We have people that are planted into this political system that they know will catch the eye or have a name that would resonate because of uneducated voters, which is why we're having people come on, show your face, tell me what it is you do, tell me what your responsibilities are, and then be able to say, hey, you can hold me accountable.
Right.
Just like she just said, are they in the community? Have you seen them somewhere? And the thing is, when you talk about sitting in the court, most of us never think about going to sit in the court when it's not us.
Yeah,
when it's not us.
That was my
I'm going to tell you something. The last podcast just might show up to a court because promise you we can find some material in there.
Oh, yeah, we could.
And so,
I don't know if we're going to show up to the court, though.
Well, listen,
some of us.
It might be a fun thing to go do. But I believe that we have a responsibility because we do need to do our own legwork. And we do need to, and we take time for everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
You find out which is the best, vodka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
That is true. Especially on the last podcast. We do find that out. So
do the research.
I feel so judged right now.
I feel judged by the judge.
Wow.
But that was a great example.
Yeah. Wow.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
All right. So
no, I really appreciate your transparency and your passion. It makes me want to say, you know what, I have not done enough research for myself, and so to have a judge with such esteem to sit before us and have like just so much transparency about what you believe in, the challenges that you're facing, and you are still so passionate about doing your job and doing it with the right integrity. It does. It makes me feel like a proud voter. Like I feel like this is something that we should be doing a lot in our community because so we don't go into the ballot and say, oh, this sounds like a black woman, and I vote for that black woman. That black woman has no interest in anything that I have going on in my community or my family, and makes a judgment based on who's lobbying for her, who she's lobbying for. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, no, you go.
No, I was going to say thank you for the opportunity because we've got to get out. I'm not the establishment's favor or most excited candidate they want to see on the bench, but I'm the people's candidate, and
that's what we need. We are tired of the establishment.
Exactly.
Oh my God, we are tired of the establishment, and we see that. Those repetitive names from years and years and years, and you say, I know this person, but what does this person do for our community?
Really?
Yes. And in the Dallas area, and it's probably like this across the country. I say once you become politically black famous, you just ride it out, and you gain so much power. A lot of people don't even want to run against you, and we are saying we're tired of that because first of all, we have no idea what the responsibilities are.
Right.
And so, as a judge, give me your just quick elevator spill on what makes a good judge.
Wow. Well, first of all, you've got to be intellectually capable to handle the work. You know, unfortunately some people have turned it into a glamour contest. It's not that, because if you're truly doing your work, you're prepared for every hearing. Now I hear lots of complex commercial cases, as I call, you know, when the lawyers walk in with the $5,000 suits, I better be prepared, you know, 5 or 6. So there are many a night I've been up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning reading the briefs so that I am ready to go to be prepared the next day for those hearings. It is not a glamorous job. If you put in the time, I make less than, I have a couple of my interns who just graduated from law school and make $50,000 more a year than I do. So you've got to be in it for the love of it. I can't say what gets me excited every day, but I think knowing that I'm dispensing justice, that I'm doing it fairly, and I'm giving everyone an opportunity to be heard. Now, you know, sometimes I'm all ready for the hearing. I'm like, this lawyer, I wish he just shut up. But, you know, I still have to, listen. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. You know, that's a really interesting point. So knowing that I'm making a difference or dispensing justice. I think another thing that I absolutely love is my ability then to really have an effect on the community. For example, my court, instead of having a big Thanksgiving, you know, staff dinner, we donate food to a food bank every Thanksgiving. And so it used to be 101 cans in honor of the 101st. But now we've stepped it up and we do 202 cans of food. And it's not, we don't just go to Walmart and pick up, you know, the Walmart brand. Not that it's bad, because it's in my cupboard now. But we'll get like Progresso soup. We'll get really good stuff. And we've been doing that since 2015. I have adopted a group. There's a group called 3T Men, and it's a pastor in Oak Cliff who has I call it a gentleman's program from little boys from 5 to 18. For the last 5 years, they either come to my court when we do a mini court session. I give them a tour of the courthouse, and then we feed them. This year, I made 6 pounds of chili for 18 little boys, and they came in, and it's so warming, because first of all, they now know you can come to court and not be scared of the judge. They come up on my bench, and some of the little boys who started when they were 5 or 6 are now 11 or 12 now, and they're bringing up the next generation. And probably if I weren't in that position, I'd met the pastor during my 2014 election, and we keep in touch. And so now it's annual. Like, I'll call them in July. Okay, when's my visit? Y'all better come. And this year we got kind of delayed, so we did it in November, which was kind of fun. So I made chili for them instead of giving them pizza, and that was they enjoyed it, and I really liked it a lot.
Do you ever think about the cultural impact that you have, not only as a black person, but as a black woman? You know, does it ever feel like, because when I see especially black female judges, I always think, man, like, I don't even know this judge, I don't even know this person, but as a black woman, seeing another black woman in that seat, it's just, I have like so much pride. So
it's an awesome responsibility, and sometimes it is overwhelming, because you feel as though I feel as though I have to be the role model. You know, if I'm gonna let loose and have fun, I better be in New York City. Right. But and because of that, I do feel as though it's very important that you always conduct yourself in a certain way. And like we said earlier, I always have to bring my A game. You know, I don't care what the bar says. People know you come to my court, you better be prepared, because I've read every page. If it's a 500-page brief, I've read it, because I'm ready to go, because I have to. Because the one thing they'll say is, oh yeah, we have that judge, and she wasn't prepared. So I'm like, not on my watch.
I like that.
And so when you are preparing getting ready for your cases and things like that. Is there something that when somebody comes into your court outside of just you being prepared, what would you like them to feel sitting in your court? Because we all know all of the rulings are not going to go in everybody's favor.
Right.
But what would you want somebody to feel like once they walked out of your court?
That they were heard. One thing I hear from attorneys is like I give them an opportunity to give their argument, even if I'm looking at them cross-eyed like this is crazy. I still give them an opportunity. When we have trials, I've been told over and over again, I let the attorneys try the case. You know, when you're trying a case, a judge should just be calling balls and strikes. If I wanted to be an attorney, then get off the bench, try your case. But it's not my case to try. They've lived it, breathed that case for 1 or 2 years. So let the attorneys try the case. You know, and you just sit back and let them do it. And then I think a lot of people are happy if they feel as though the judge has heard them, not shut them off or not try to try their case for them. Because we don't know. I mean, like I said, I tell them, you're one of 1,800 cases on my docket. You know your case better than I do.
Yeah, you're just there for the ruling.
Right.
You're not there to actually do the
try your case. No.
Yeah. And so I like that, that you're heard, because I think so many times I believe that in the mindset, especially in the African American community, of the disenfranchisement of the system, and that you're not hearing me. I sound like I'm screaming to the wind and nobody's paying attention. To be able to come into a court and say, at least I felt like she paid attention to me.
Right.
And so I wasn't reduced down to nothing. I'm not as rich as this person. I don't have the high-powered attorney, but I was heard.
I felt heard,
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. And I think, man, as we are, in this political season, I want everybody to know, how do they find out more information about Judge Staci? Where do they go?
Okay, so they go to my website, www.judgestaci, and that's Staci with an I, not IEEYY or EYE. Staci with an I.com. Facebook, Judge Staci, and I think the Instagram is connected to it. But I'm not high powered. No, I don't have TikTok, so I'll leave that for someone else. But yeah. Or if they just want to email me, Staci@judgestaci.com, I will respond. It might be 3:00 in the morning, but I will respond.
Yeah. And that personal touch, just being able to say, hey, can I reach? And this is why we keep preaching here on the last podcast, local politics. That's where your power really lies.
We cannot reiterate that enough. Your local elections is what really affects your lives. Okay. So, any last words before we?
Please get out and vote.
Yes.
Voting numbers are kind of low, and if you want a difference, make a difference. You've got someone who's willing to be a change agent. I have the experience. I have the research skills. I want to go in and do what's right, but I need your support, because there are folks that don't want anyone that looks like me up there, and definitely they'll want someone that looks like me who's going to be a change agent. So let me help you, but I need your vote. Again, I know it's glamorous, the presidential race, that's probably already figured, but those of us down ballot, we need your help. More than likely, you're going to see me in Costco shopping. You're going to see me in the grocery store, and more than likely you or your church, or you're going to have some type of entity that's going to end up either in my court or in the Court of Appeals. You need to have representation. You need to have someone there who understands our culture, understands our background, and understands our plight. It makes a difference. So I'm asking, please vote Judge Staci. I'm the only Staci on the ballot for Chief Judge of the 5th District Court of Appeals.
And I the last thing I did want to ask you, and you brought it up and you jogged my memory. You said voter turnout is low. Do you know what the difference in the voting numbers were from the winner and losses of the last election was? Do you have that information?
For what? I mean, because it's different for each race.
Yeah, for the race for the seat that you're sitting on.
Well, for the Democratic primary, they were all chosen, and no one ran against the person who ran.
Okay.
And then, so for the general election, that's when it's Democrat versus Republican, and all the Democrats won. So the key now is for the Democratic primary. And the one thing I want to add, right now, the Court of Appeals has one Republican, and they're all Democrats. If I win, that makes a solid Democratic panel. If my opponent wins, she moves from being a regular contributor justice to that of Chief Justice. Governor Abbott will then have an opportunity to appoint a Republican to that seat.
And that's what we do not want.
Exactly. Yes.
So if everything else I've said you don't like, just think the numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, when you get to the point to where you're saying he has an opportunity to appoint somebody. So now when you don't vote, you give the power back to the governor to put somebody into the seat. See, and this is why it's so important for you to go out and make sure that you go out and vote. Early voting is going on right now. You don't want to let this opportunity go to a person where, okay, well, now Judge Abbott goes in and says appoint somebody, because we already know what's going to happen when he does that. So if you want to keep the power, because a lot of us are having conversations and we're talking about, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. Well, hey, if you want to keep the power out of the governor's hand, it's up to you. And not only up to you individually, because I think this is, and I'm pretty sure you will second this, Judge Staci. It's not just you going to the poll. It's you talking to a friend, asking them, hey, have you voted? If they say no, ask them why not. Now, when
we have to start engaging.
We have to start engaging, because when you ask them why not, you have to have something to follow that to tell them why they should. And the thing is that sometimes you got to say something as simple as, hey, you know what? It won't hurt you to vote. Do you want to go with me? We live close together. We can go early voting. You can vote anywhere.
Yes.
So those type of conversations, but too many times we're just saying, oh, me and my house, this is what I do. And we're letting all of this potential opportunity go by the wayside. And I'm telling you, you have a situation of low voter turnout. The more people you can get to go, the more influence you have.
Yes.
And I think that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we have the influence, we have people going out to vote, so we can do that, so that we don't have a situation where a judge is appointed.
Yes.
And early voting ends Friday, March 1st.
Right.
And
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then Election Day is Tuesday, March 5th,
March
7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yes. So please, please, please go out and vote. It is the most democratic process that we have. You are a citizen. It is your vote. It is your right to vote. Please do so.
Yeah, and I think you have said this so many times about our democracy just, slipping out.
I'm telling you, democracy is like oxygen. You don't know how important it is until it is gone. Okay?
So make sure you engage.
Please.
And go out there.
And vote. And vote Judge Staci Williams. Staci. Staci Williams. Okay?
Yeah. You play this replay back to them. Let them see. Put a face. Don't wait till you get there and somebody says, hey.
And for Chief Justice, I mean, it's awesome that we have someone who is running for Chief Justice on the little old podcast.
Yeah.
But it has been such an awesome experience. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you pull up and they give you those names like, hey, here. You're like, well, I guess I'll do this. You don't have to do that.
You have to do that. You say, oh, I know.
I know.
She was on the last podcast.
Exactly. So make sure you share this.
She articulated herself very well. She spoke with so much passion.
And she talked her stuff.
Yes, she did.
And we said stuff on this stuff because we got the judge off.
Yeah.
Next week we'll say the other word.
Next week when we do a run back, we go.
Yeah. So again, please go out and vote for Judge Staci Williams. So good. She's the only Staci on there, so it's hard to miss her.
But let me say this. Judge Staci Williams, Chief Justice, 5th District Court of Appeals. Okay? Do you want me to say it again? Judge Staci Williams, Chief Justice, 5th District Court of Appeals.
Yes. Yeah. So.
And that's for Collin, Dallas, Grayson, Hunt, Kaufman, and Rockwall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you said it. You said it all at first.
Okay.
All of the counties. So make sure if you live in any one of those counties, please go out and vote for Judge Staci Williams, because we want to make sure that we get people on there that is going to work for us. And I'm telling you, if you don't think that the Court of Appeals has a process in your life, again, if you have anybody saying, oh, waiting on an appeal because of this or that, or if you have ever had anybody who was waiting on an appeal, we have people that our tax dollars are going to that are just dragging their feet because why? There's no pressure on them.
Yeah, because they can. Simply because they can.
Exactly. So make sure you follow us on Facebook. It is The Last Podcast 1. On Instagram, it's _ The Last Podcast. And also on TikTok, The Last Podcast. Judge Staci, we do appreciate you coming out.
Thank you so much.
And I know we offered you last words before, but is there anything else that you want to let the people know?
Get out and vote.
There you go.
Get out and vote.
Listen, I think we did a good job today.
Listen, we've never been this civilized ever.
No. So, you know what?
With anybody.
We have not. We have not. So we know one thing for sure. This was not
the last podcast.